Hello, and welcome to another episode of Brettcast Gaming Talk. The year is 2005, and well, I am going boots on the ground to discuss the campaign from the classic game, Call of Duty 2. You're probably wondering, why Call of Duty 2? Well, I played Battlefield 5, and at some point I'm going to play Call of Duty World War 2, so I wanted to play at least one of the older Call of Duty games that is set in World War II, just for the sake of comparison to these newer games that are set in World War II. So what do I think of Call of Duty 2's campaign? I'm going to be very honest and say it's a very average World War II first-person shooter game, and that's kind of what I was expecting. There's 3 campaigns, which are the Russian, British, and American campaigns. You start with the Russian campaign, then the British one, and then the American one. In that regard, yeah, you do get to do the D-Day landing, but it's not until much later in the campaign and not right off from the start. This game has all these standard weapons that a World War II shooter game, but there is something that I noticed about the weapons. I found that some weapons would be more common, like the MP40, Kar 98, the Thompson, the MP44, etc., and other weapons like the STG-44 or the Bren gun were used sparsely within the levels. I suppose that's more realistic, but for me personally, in the American campaign, I find myself ditching the Thompson for the MP40. I've always found that the Thompson is just an awful gun as the recoil is bad and the magazine size is small. Plus, you hardly find Thompson ammo on the battlefield unless one of your allies gets killed. So, I rocked an MP40 as my main automatic weapon because its recoil is manageable and the ammo is more plentiful. The enemy AI is very good, but the ally AI is dumb. There were a lot of moments where I enter a destroyed house and am shooting enemies and an enemy throws a grenade. I move back and away, and then one of my allies just runs right up there and gets blown up by the grenade, and then another ally will shout, "Hey, there's a grenade!" The ally AI is also where my complaints are. They would often run right in front of me while I'm shooting enemies, and most of the time the game would automatically make me stop shooting, or else I would end up shooting an ally, getting the friendly fire will not be tolerated thing, and then have to start from the previous checkpoint. The other complaint is the constant shouting. They'll constantly shout out that there's enemies in this place to the left or right, on the top or bottom, ground floor, whatever. Like, yes, I know where the enemies are because they're shooting at me too, so please, shut up. But because of all the shouting, you'll learn those World War II terms that the British and Americans used for the Nazis. So you'll hear words like Jerry's, Fritz, and Krauts a lot because your allies will constantly be shouting them out very often. Other than that, it's a pretty average campaign that does all the things that a World War II shooter should do. A lot of boots on the ground sections, AA gun shooting, tank driving and shooting, whatever. I'll be honest, I didn't finish the game when I wrote this script because I felt like I experienced everything the game had to offer to be able to make this discussion. I did finish it, and it's a pretty fun game. But I will say the thing that I thought is that it was kind of too long. When I googled it, it said that Call of Duty 2 actually has the longest campaign, being 8.5 hours. And it is true. I feel like it kind of overstays its welcome. That's all I have to say, so I'm going to add to the conversation. Leave a comment below. As always, thanks for listening, and goodbye.